Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your boy Three Stacks in this thing, man. Representing the squad always. So, yo, bro, there's something I always wanted to try with Paleos. And at first, I didn't try it because the first thought that came in my mind was, oh, the people might not like it, so we might as well not do it. But I ended up play testing it. Oh my god. This is like the most explosive build of Paleozoics that I've ever played, that I've ever seen. This is crazy. Now, there's two engines in this deck. There's three. There's the frogs, the paleos, and then the Phantasm Spiral traps, along with their field spell. This deck is bananas. There's a correlation between the spiral, Phantasm Spirals, and the Paleozoic traps in particular, and that being that the Paleozoic traps allow themselves to be summoned for free practically during your opponent's turn, and they're counted as normal monsters, which meet the requirements for your Phantasm Spiral traps to be activated. You have your field spell, which allows you to net free advantage and search traps that you can play from your hand and chain more traps. And once you're ready, you could just turn your field spell off, go into a Star Boy, make Toads and Alma-Karases and Opabinias, and just kill your opponent. Like, this deck, I can't believe that it's actually broken. It's Phantasm Spiral Paleos. It's so amazing. Whenever you need, like, if you feel like, you need to really resolve the traps that much, like, Toad clears your field. Everything you summon is Aquas. Your extra deck is, you just spam Toads, Star Boys, and the Paleozoic XYZs. Like, Toad clears your field for you. Just if you really feel like that desperate to activate the Phantasm Spiral trap. Like, it's crazy. This actually works, bro. This is a new way to play Paleozoics. It's so dope. And the ratios are like perfect for the Phantasm Spirals. It's not overkill, it's just enough to get by. So we'll start off with the frogs. I don't really think you're supposed to explain frogs. They're very old. Even if you played Frog Monarchs, you understand, like, frogs are not, anything you should be explaining. The ratio is always going to be the same for the most part. The only thing that can differentiate is the number of dupe frogs you play. But I actually like to play 3 dupe frogs because dupe locking your opponent is incredible in Paleozoics. Because you have attacks on lock, which allows you to chain your paleo traps for free and not worry about your opponent attacking over them, because they're already unaffected by monster effects. You just don't want your opponent to attack over them. Like, they can't deal with them any other way, realistically. And dupe lock is just incredible. So I play 3 dupes because I still want to dupe lock. And this deck is consistently able to dupe lock every single game. Like turn 2, you're summoning double Toad or you're summoning Toad on a Malakaris. If you want to dupe lock, just summon double Toad and you get the dupe lock. It's incredible. Like, you use your Toads, right? When you have double Toad, you can use one Toad. The first Toad negates, grabs you a water from grave. Use the second Toad to send that water from your hand, the Aqua from your hand, to negate again. So one Toad pays for the cost of the other. Like, you can send from hand with Toad, by the way. Like, it's perfect. So you just play your 8 frogs. It's all you really need. Sometimes I occasionally use dupe to add from grave to hand just so I can net that free advantage. So, like, you can have that additional normal, that additional extender. So you can normal, make a play, and then you end up banishing it from grave anyways for your Ronin. It's perfect. So you just need your 8 frogs. The frogs are the only engine that can, like, make plays by themselves. Like, swap plus a water is instant Toad. And then the frogs are the only thing that can conflict with the Phantasm Spirals because they're obviously effect monsters. But this is a small portion of your deck. So the bigger portion of your deck is the Paleozoic traps and the Phantasm Spiral traps, which is, you're using that engine to hold you down until you either get to your frogs or until you accelerate your progression with the Paleozoic traps alone, because they can make plays by themselves. Like, just by chaining traps, you can build boards. It's crazy. So the only spell that we play in this particular list is actually Pacifist, the Phantasm City. This field spell is dope, my dude. It's so good. So if you don't know what it does, if your opponent activates any card or effect, you special a level 8 token that's water worm type, and it gains 2,000 attack and defense. And its other effect triggers immediately off of that because of that. If you normal or special a normal monster, exactly 1, you add a Phantasm Spiral card, actually, just a Phantasm Spiral card from your deck to your hand. What's really broken about this field spell is it's once per copy. If you read it, it never ever lists that you can only activate these effects once per turn. So when you're playing a card like Metaverse, you get to net a lot of advantage off this field spell. You just play it, you get your first search off the token, then you activate Metaverse on resolution of the searching, slap another one, then you play that Phantasm Spiral trap from hand. Well, you have to chain a trap first, so you chain a trap. Once you have the trap on field, now you can play the Phantasm Spiral traps because you control normals. You play it, chain trap, and then the second field spell that you just activated off of your Metaverse will net you another search as soon as you chain that trap because the Paleozoics are normal monsters. So because they're normal monsters, they work perfectly with the Phantasm Spiral traps, and you're able to just impermanence, Dried It, and then Book of Moon and MST. So now you have 4 different forms of disruption, including the Karma Cut. So you have 5. So like you have a lot of ways to disrupt your opponent that are searchable, and you can still play the whole shebang, like traps, like solemns, floodgates, all that if you want to. My build's a little different. Like the cards I caught the strikes, the mistakes, and the goals and matches. Not because they were bad. Like the mistakes obviously conflict with the new engine because it actually searches a lot. But the strikes and the goes-ins, they can still come in here. But what I wanted to do is just try the build without them, see how good it can perform, and then like if I feel like I need to, I'll put them in. Like strikes are great, but I ultimately wanted everything to be chainable. And like the only thing I could see like that wouldn't conflict at all is just putting the Gozen Match in because everything's water in this deck. But then I also thought Gozen Match might not be so great this format, just because like all the good decks like other than Goki really don't like get hurt by Gozen Match that much. So you have your 3 spells of the deck. Field spell's amazing. It's really really dope, man. And it gives you that extra body on the field so that you can go into your Mistar Boy. You just get the token off the field spell, chain the trap, bam, free Mistar Boy, just like that. And then you can go your double toad, whichever route you want to go. For the Paleo traps, we play 3 Canadias, which, is just the Book of Moon, basically. Searchable Book of Moon, that's at 3. We have your 3 Olenoids, which is your searchable MST. Really good. These cards, these are some of the best Paleos. And then we have double Dinomisius. Realistically, you're resolving 2 maximum a game. So, like, you don't really need 3. I wanted to play 3 for the sake of names, but instead of playing 3 for name's sake, I opted to play other Paleozoics that give me a little bit more flexibility and also increase my ceiling in the mid to late game. One of my favorite Paleos that, like, I never don't play, like, even if it's at 1 in certain builds, like, the last build I did was a competitive build. It was extremely competitive. Like, this build, it's just, you don't even expect it to be competitive, and it is. And it's super duper fun. It's super explosive. Like, I don't know. I can't compare the ceiling of this deck to pure Paleos. Like, because I'm not sure which is better. Like, this build is really that good. Like, you can't overlook how good it is and be like, oh, pure Paleo is better because, like, you've never really played this build, so you don't know that. Like, it's dope, dude. But I love Pikaia. Like, I never don't play it. It's honestly my favorite Paleo. And why I love it is because you normally get to net a Paleo whether you draw it by accident or not. And once you make your Opabenia, you just search this guy out. And then it becomes kind of like a Pantheism or a trade-in, more specifically, like a trade-in. And you get to net that free trap, chain trap, draw 2, dig deeper, draw another Paleo, play it from hand, chain another trap. Like, you end up building your board a lot quicker because of Pikaia. And for the most part, it's because you always draw Paleos off of this. I play a lot of Paleos in this build. The Paleos and the Phantasms, like I said, are the most important aspect of this deck. They give you a much higher ceiling. They grant you a lot more durability. And you get to net free disruptions just if your opponent activates card effects. So it grants you a lot more disruption than pure Paleos can. And if you want to make that much more impressive, like I said, you could just throw in the strikes and the goes in matches, and then you really have yourself a freaking crazy good deck. Like a deck that just, you can't overlook how strong it is. And then we have 2 Moreas. Morea is great in this build. In fact, I like traps that don't really have a specific activation window, like Bottomless, Torrential, Mirror Force, stuff like that. Like, I like traps that are like Compulse, where you can just play them at will whenever you feel the need. And some of these traps, you just play them. Like, you don't even, like, the Paleos have to target stuff for cost, so they kind of rely on your opponent having stuff because, like, they have to hit your opponent's cards. Like, well, not specifically, like, your opponent's cards all the time, but you basically rely on your opponent for the removal Paleos, but for Pikaia and for Morella, you just get to activate them whenever you want to practically. And Morella is definitely the freest one. And sending that Lost Wind, getting that free negate, Lost Wind is just, it's a negate. Like the Morella, it seems like, oh, it's not going to do anything. It's a foolish, but it nets you that chain, it gives you that chain trap and nets you that free negate. And in the long run, it puts itself in the grave so you can summon it and just trigger your field spell again and get another search. So you get a lot of advantage. Then we have Duly and Chaya, something very different that I'm trying out in this build in particular. I always opt to play one. It's incorrect to play none because this card's amazing. But in this build, this build is really combo oriented. Most of the time, Paleos don't really combo. Like, they just chain traps and then spam rank 2s. But this build's more combo oriented. And you're trying to see how far you can extend before you OTK. Because right now, I'm testing the waters of this deck. So I want to see just how good it is. And the second Li and Chaya draws out the maximum potential of how big of a board this deck can make. Because Li and Chaya, like most Paleo players know, extend 2 different engines. Your Paleos and your Frogs. You get to return one of your banished Frogs for Ronin Tonin while simultaneously chaining a trap. So in short terms, you can call this a 1 card totally awesome. Literally, it is. You get the level 2 body from a trap, and then you get that extra food for Ronin Toad to summon itself. So this is like a 1 card Toad when you have the setup. And it's really easy to get the setup, like, because how fast this deck gets the engine rolling. Like, it's just really good. Like, you can cut it down to 1 if you don't want to draw it that often, but I love it. And I actually love seeing Paleos in hand for Pikaia and just to be able to summon, to dump off Morella so I can get bodies on field. Because unfortunately, if you don't control Paleozoics, you can't play your Phantasm Spiral cards because you have to have normal monsters. And fortunately, all the Paleos are normal. So that's it for your Paleos. Should be like 15 to 16. I felt like that was like perfect. I think like 12 or less just wasn't good enough for this build because like playing 15 or 16, I'm nearly guaranteed, just when you think of the percentage and ratio, I'm nearly guaranteed 2 to 3 Paleos every first turn. And the minimum normally is like 2. It's a rare occasion when I only draw 1. But even then, 1 is enough for you to play your Phantasms. So for the Phantasm engine and lineup, I just literally, these are the only 4 targets for your field spell. You don't want to go overkill when you're playing this build. You don't want to like play the Phantasm Spiral Dragon and the equip spells. Like, you end up putting bricks in your deck. You want maximum potential, minimum bricks, and high ceiling, and a lot of good synergy. Like I said, the 2 engines have an extremely awesome correlation. And when I mean correlation, it's like they work so well together. It's like, it's almost like they were supposed to be played together. And that's a really, really good synergy. So what battle is, it's a Trident, and what's really cool is you can play these from hand if Umi's on the field. And normally Umi is on the field when you get these because you can search them out off of it. But you can always hard draw them and still play them, just chaining your traps. It's really good. But if the field spell's on the field, you get to play these like actual hand traps. Traps you play from hand. And when you have Opobinio on the field, you play your Paleos from hand. So this deck has the potential of playing pretty much all of its traps from hand. All of its searchable traps. Like, searching traps and playing them from hand is really dope. Allows you to play around cards like play around stuff like evenly matched twin twisters, you know, just different board removal like Phoenix, stuff like that. But battle is a Trident. It pops a card on the field, and power, which is probably my more favorite one, it negates a face-up monster's effects and then causes that monster to lose 1,000 attack and defense. So you can even play this in damage step to either beat over something, or even if something's trying to beat over your monsters because your Paleos are pretty small. And then also, you can just use it just to negate and damage step because it modifies attack and defense. So it's a lot more flexible, and you can use it a lot more often than battle. And plus, being able to negate a monster's effect regardless of what the chain links dictate is so good. So it's like a budget impermanence that has that added effect that allows you to shrink monsters' attack. And these are the 4 targets. This is all you really need for your Umi, for your Phantasm Spirals field spell. And then, for probably one of the best traps to open up with, we have Metaverse. This card always nets you board presence and negates that are searchable. When you open with Metaverse or the field spell, what makes it so good is now you don't have to rely on only having Paleozoic traps. Because the field spell gives you a token, that's the normal monster you need to play your traps from hand. So it's really good opening with Metaverse and or the field spell. And if not, then you're basically, you hard draw these and you just chain your Paleos anyways and play them. But Metaverse is so broken because it's a trap that you can play at any given time. There's no specific window of activation that you have to meet or requirement. You just play it whenever you're ready to. And the best way to play it to capitalize on the maximum advantage that you can generate off of that field spell is netting that search off the field spell, playing Metaverse on resolution of the search, slapping another field spell on field, and then play a trap like a spiral trap or a paleo trap or just a regular trap like Wabaku or something like that. Chain a paleo because the paleos are normals that are being summoned. Your field spell triggers. It's an if and not a when. Doesn't miss timing. You search another trap. Play it from hand. You just keep grinding your opponent, draining their resources. Metaverse is so good. And then when you have like two, oh my gosh, like you normally should be able to stop them completely and you win that duel. So Metaverse is one of the best traps in the deck. Like the non-theme trap, out of all the non-theme traps, Metaverse is the best. Like for the theme traps, the Paleos and the Spirals, that's a different story. Well, Metaverse is just so darn good in this deck. Oh my goodness. The advantage, the negates, the field presence, it's so amazing. We have 3 Reckless Greed. Because I'm not main decking Pot of Desires in this build, and it's not because Pot is bad. Pot is so incredible in Paleos, because practically your whole deck, unless it's frogs, you don't care what you banish. Like it doesn't matter. You're drawing traps regardless. But because I'm playing that engine of spirals, I don't want to play the risk of either banishing my field spells or banishing my targets from phantasms for the traps. It's like if you desires and banish like 2 or 3 of them, then you end up searching once off your field spell. Then you have dead Metaverse, dead field spells, because if the field spells have no targets to search, and the field spell is a dead card, and if you have no targets to search, then your Metaverse is a dead card. So while Desires has a cool payout of a +1, it can ultimately come back to haunt you in the long run in the grind game or even on turn 2 or on your opponent's turn after you pass, when you have the ability to stop him, but you've banished your better targets. Like you play 2 of each, so even if you don't banish all 4, Desires can still banish 2 of them. Like Desires just not that great in this build. That's why Reckless Greed is so MVP, because it technically still is a +1, because 1 card from hand nets you 2, but it also grants you that ability to chain your traps and allows you to get better cards because you can play this after you've searched off of your Opabenia and your field spell. It just gives you a higher chance of drawing some different cards. So Reckless Greed and Metaverse gets you some advantage while chaining your traps at the same time. And the window to activate them is whenever you feel like it. And then for more free stuff, we have 3 Threatening Roars. What I love about Threatening Roar and also Wabaku is they complement this deck very well. When you play your Paleos, like this is why I was saying dupe lock is so broken in this deck. Like dupe lock, like it's a thing. Like it still is live. Like when you're able to dupe lock your opponent and prevent them from attacking your little Paleos, they're already unaffected by monster effects. So it's like they're just gonna chill there until you use them for links or XYZs. So it gives you like the ability to OTK aggressively. And when you Wabaku and Threatening Roar your opponent, you deny them the ability to hit your life points. Unless they're playing a burn strategy, you will remain at 8,000 life points. So you have to think of it like not only are these giving you that free board presence because you can chain trap cities activations, but it guarantees for you to remain at 8,000 life points. So like if we're going into time, because end of match procedures is so annoying now, like when you're going into time, these are your lifesavers. These will piss people off because like they can't get damage to you. So like they have to result to like cowboy and stuff like that. But remember, you have literally searchable negates for days, Book of Moons, like all this disruption. So like these are so good. Like chain trap, Wabaku, you can't attack them, they pass. You get to make your board however you want it. And even though you play those 6, it's not always enough. I still play 3 Mirror Force as well. Storming being the best one for me because like Quaking doesn't work against links. Drowning is never really good. It's never live in this deck. Regular Mirror Force destroys. That's its downside because a lot of cards can't be destroyed. Or if they are destroyed and sent to the graveyard, they get some kind of crazy effect. So I just felt that Storming was just the best option for this build. It allows you to break boards. Even if you Storming and then chain in a gate to like the Tri-Gate, because they can still try to Tri-Gate, negate the Storming. You just chain Phantasm Power or your lost win, you negate it. You know, clear their board, they're done for. Or you can even negate it with Toad if you have it. So you have your 9 attack stoppers, and you still have a consistent way to dupe lock your opponent. In the long run, ultimately, this deck is very hard to beat. It's going to be a long game, and it's just going to be tough. Like, Paleos are just, they're not a deck. You have to work for your win. When you play against this deck, you have to earn it. There's no free wins against Paleos. Like, and we have ways to play around evenly matched with this build. That's why I like it. Being able to play your traps from hand. And also, when you have Opabinia, that's really good. Like, games 2 and 3, Opabinia is still optimal, and keeping your Paleo traps in hand is still optimal, because Evenly can hurt this deck, but being able to keep your traps in hand and play them from hand makes Evenly almost practically a dead card. And to sum up the main, we play 1 lost win for your Morella Foolish Burial target. It grants you just a free negate, and when you hard draw it, it's 2 negates in 1. It's really good. It's similar to Phantasm Spiral Power, but the negate's permanent, and it halves the attack versus making them, you know, lose 1,000. But these in combination, if you chain it, you can just beat over something and attack for game. Really, really good. Love the build so much. Even if your opponent clears your board, you're able to have a backup plan, a defensive and precautious measure with the Phantasms, and your Paleo traps will still be able to come out from grave to allow you to keep grinding it out even if they clear your board. So Phantasm Spiral Paleos, I just feel, is a match made in heaven. Like, they are totally meant to be. Now for your extra deck, we played 3 Mistar Boys. I normally use my Toads to grab these back because I summon this 4 to 5 times a duel. I normally go Mistar Boy, use him in a water to go into another Mistar Boy, and then use him in a water to go another Mistar Boy. That's how you use your Mistar Boys. You don't really just summon one and wait for it to die. You normally, because you want to go into columns 1, 3, and 5. You want to have like an inboard of like either double Toad Anomalocaris, or you want Opabinia, Anomalocaris, and Toad, just in case you want to play your traps from hand to keep that surprise factor and kind of just prevent your opponent from like Twin Twistering or, you know, Nightmare Phoenixing, for example. So like that's an inboard that's optimal, and then you get to net free advantage off of your Anomalocaris drawing, and then the next turn Opabinia gets to search and Anomalocaris will draw again, and you have that Trident, that negate. A lot of good stuff going for yourself, and you have monsters that are unaffected by monster effects. And the reason why you're able to make boards like that is literally because of Mistar Boy. Oh, so he's MVP. Other link that should be in here are Topo and Borload, but I don't have Topo and Borloads in my Zephyrs. Zephyrs are broken. We have 3 Toads. A new way that I've been playing Toads is like when I have double, I used to like use Toad to clear cards on my field. Like it's almost like I forgot that he can send from hand too. So now what I do is I use the first Toad, sack him off, grab a frog from the graveyard, add it to hand, and then use the second Toad to send that frog from my hand. And basically you get a negate for free instead of sacrificing 2 cards from your field, making your field less relevant. So like Toads are amazing, long story short. And he nets you that +2. You get to get that water monster from grave to hand, and you get a card from your opponent that you negated. It's just really good. And you spam them, recycle them, never ending. So these 6 are really good because they recycle your entire deck as well. Even though they recycle, I still play 3 Opabinias. I normally summon this card just like how I summon Mistar Boy. I summon it 4 to 5 times a duel. It's really good. I like searching Pykea. I love searching Lee and Kaya. And if I know that I can't OTK, then I won't go for Lee and Kaya or Pykea, because those are solely to extend, get more bodies on field, make a big board, attack for game. If I know I don't have game, I'll use this to search another Disruptor like the Book of Moon, the MST, or the Karma Cut, and then I'll link it up, go into a Totally Awesome and pass, and have Totally Awesome plus that free Disruption that I searched off of him. Card's really amazing. Unaffected by monster effects. It's just dope. We have double Anomalocaris, our Trident on steroids that lets you draw cards and pop cards, and he's unaffected by monsters. It's just so savage, man. And then we have Cat Shark, Daigusto Phoenix, and Sky Cavalry Centura. Daigusto Phoenix and Cat Shark, easy OTK. Just Mistar Boy it up, get these guys. It's just dope, man. And then the empty slots in my extra deck are supposed to be for Borload and Topologic. Topologic is so good. If you have Metaverse or the Field Spell with Topologic, or, you know, like Paleo Traps Topologic, like you're able to trigger Topologic so consistently. And you can literally just use 2 Mistar Boys to make it if you want. Or you can go Mistar Boy plus a couple frogs. Like it just, you can make it so easy. Topo so free. This deck is just amazing. It really is. The synergy is awesome. It's so good. And I'm still learning. Like, this deck's probably gonna get crazier. I'm gonna learn stuff that I didn't know I could do. It's just broken, bro. It really is. And these give a new dimension to the disruption that this deck has, because Paleo's never had a searchable, like, breakthrough-esque effect, and they never had a searchable Trident. Paleos can't pop cards during either player's turn, but now they can do two new things that they couldn't do, and they can generate additional board presence. That 2K beater token that you get off the field spell is really oppressive, and it makes a huge difference in the long run. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the video. As always, stay tuned for future content. I love you guys. Y'all have a beautiful night. Make good choices. Don't hurt your brain cells. Peace.